I grew up in New York City, and to me, this city is far from romantic. I started this channel as a way to document me finding my way back to myself in the middle of all of the noise. So if you're new here, hi, my name is Elvira, and this is going to be my first introductory video. Even though I have been on this app now for about a year and a half, it's time for me to let you know a little bit more about myself. What does growing up in New York mean to me now? I am 31 years old. I'm going to be 32 years old this year. And growing up in New York to me, really for a long time, didn't really mean anything special. It was just the city that I grew up in. I didn't find it romanticized. I didn't enjoy it. And now as an adult looking back, I realize how much this city had an effect on forming me and shaping me into the person I am today, both good and bad. And that's something that I would have never realized if I hadn't really started this channel and started exploring more about myself. Growing up in New York to me really means it's just a part of who I am. It's not the beautiful scenes that you see on movies or the romanticized part of it on social media. It's just a part of who I've been, a part of my childhood, a part of my story. How has my relationship with the city changed since I've gotten older? This has actually changed quite a bit, and it goes back and forth. I have both good and bad thoughts on this city. One of the biggest pushes that really pushed me to evaluate my relationship with this city is when I began to travel and recognizing how much New York has actually affected me and has been embedded in my soul and in my genes versus what parts of me were just parts of me innately. I think as I've gotten older, I now can view the city through the lens of a tourist a little bit more. And I can recognize, okay, I can see why people really love it here and why this is some people's dream cities, while also recognizing that this is the place that shaped me. And that is not always necessarily a good thing. Realistically, the answer to that question is, as I've gotten older, I have learned to appreciate the city for the good while also recognizing that not everything is perfect, and that's okay. What parts of New York ground me and what parts overwhelm me? That's an interesting question, because I do think that growing up in New York created this sense of urgency and restlessness in me, and really activated my nervous system in a way that should have never been activated. But now as an adult, the ways that I ground myself in the city is finding the quiet nature parts of the city. So it is really spending more time in our parks, walking through the streets where I can connect with nature in any way that I can, or also just connect with the city in a way that's more quiet. Areas that overwhelm me are the touristy areas. This is tough because there's certain parts of the city that I really love, like Bryant Park and our Christmas markets and our museums. But these are also parts of the city that attract a lot of tourists, which is great. But those crowds really overwhelm me. Another thing that overwhelms me about New York is the subway system and just I think it's great that we have this ability to get to anywhere in the city pretty easily for the most part, but the amount of people in these trains and buses, and also just the amount of variety of people, because you just never know what you're gonna get, and that element of surprise is really overwhelming, because then you don't really know what to prepare for. You kind of just have to wing it. Am I gonna get on the train today and we're gonna have a quiet ride to wherever I'm going, or am I gonna get on the train today and get yelled at by somebody who's having a psychotic episode? You just never know. You just never know. I think that's a really great way to go into the next question, which is how my mental health actually shows up in my daily life. So if you're new here, you might not know, but I am a licensed mental health therapist. So mental health in general is a huge part of my life, but specifically here in New York City, because it can be very overwhelming and because my nervous system is pretty much taught to be on alert 24/7. There are a lot of things that I need to do to ground myself, and these include just some of my favorite hobbies, making sure to find little moments during my day where I can take a break, whether that's tea or coffee, and going out for a walk or a run. I mentioned earlier, one of my favorite things in the city that grounds me is nature. So I do like to go to a park near my house whenever I can. Making sure I stick to my morning routine, just deep breathing, meditation, journaling on occasion, cooking. These are the things that like really bring me so much joy into my day and help me feel calm, even in the chaos of this city. Talking about cooking, cooking has become a part of my self-care. And in a lot of ways, this is something that started when I was a teenager, but I just never was consistent enough. And until my adulthood, when I started to cook more at home because I had just turned vegan and there wasn't just as many things that I could eat outside at the time. Now it's completely different. But it does come with like a level of health as well. Cooking at home brings me peace and joy in the sense of, one, the ritual of cooking is something I actually really enjoy, but also I know exactly what's going into my body and what nutrients I'm craving and need in the moment. And it doesn't mean that I don't go out anymore, but it does mean that I am now allowing myself this time where I can cook meals that interest me or my favorite foods that maybe I won't be able to find in a restaurant. I think cooking also has become a huge part of just my connections with other people, because when I cook, most of the time it's not just for myself, it is for the people around me. So it could be my immediate family members, or if I have a friend over, or if my cousin is over. It became like a sense of community as well. So it's not just about like self-care for me, but also as like a way to connect with other people and make other people happy. I think one of my favorite things to cook is something that was requested by somebody else, by somebody I'm close with. And I love, love, love making it and then like eating it and realizing like, wow, this is actually exactly what I was craving. This is actually exactly what I wanted. And again, going back to that veganism piece, as vegans, there's a lot of foods that are viral or that things we can get in other places, in other countries, that we don't necessarily have access to here, like in a restaurant. So being able to make that ourselves is huge. And again, things are different. We do have a lot of restaurants, but there's still a lot of things that, we make at home because we don't really have access to it and immediately, and it does bring a sense of comfort and a sense of connection. How does traveling feel when New York is home? And this is an interesting question because New York is technically home for me because it is where I live and where I grew up, but it is not, it doesn't feel like home to me. So for a very long time, I have felt like I didn't belong here, or like I didn't necessarily, I don't know what the discomfort meant until I started traveling more frequently. And the reason why I didn't realize that is because when I'm here, I'm in a state of constant alertness. And that's something that to me was just always normal. So the feelings and the emotions that I was feeling, whether that was stress, anxiety, depression, whatever it was, I didn't even realize that you could feel differently than what I was already feeling until I went to Japan for the first time. And for the first time in my life, I felt relaxed. And it's funny because I have always heard like you need to calm down, you need to relax from people. And it's something that I just never even knew what it felt like until one day I knew what it felt like. So traveling to a lot of different places actually makes me feel more calm and more myself than being in New York. And although sometimes, there are certain parts of New York that obviously are home, like the diversity we have here, the knowledge that I have a lot of people that I know here, a lot of support systems here. But the reality is that I really don't find rest when I'm in New York. So traveling really does help me explore other aspects of me that I didn't even know existed. The last question is, what do I want this channel to feel like for people who find it early? I hope this channel is in a way like a sense of connection or understanding for people. I have always looked to be understood and accepted for just who I am. And to this day, I don't really think I have found that anywhere really completely. I think that people around me have pieces of understanding of me. And I think that some celebrities or some YouTubers or some creators or some people that I admire, artists, musicians, they get pieces of what I feel, that I'll get songs that are like, wow, this really connects with me, or I'll get a video of a person that makes me feel understood, but never fully. It's always just pieces and parts of me that feel understood. And I feel like this channel, what I want for people that find it early, I just want people to know that it's okay to not feel understood. We'll find our people, but also to feel like accepted and at home and as, as just regular people that are growing and trying to figure it out. I'm not somebody that has it all figured out. I'm far from it, as you can easily tell with my videos. And it's just how life is, and I think that for a very long time it felt to me like everybody had it figured out and I was just the one floating around trying to keep my head above water. So this channel, really, I just want it to be like a little cozy comfort blanket for people that don't have it all figured out and know that it's okay, because the reality is that I don't think anybody has it figured out. Even the ones that look like they think they do, or they look like they do, they really don't. And that's what this channel is about. This channel is about growth. It is about, showing both the good and the bad of what's life, and really taking it from there. I hope that these questions helped you learn a little bit more about me. If you're interested in joining me on this growth journey, please subscribe, and I will see you again for the next video.